Welcome back to Badger Canyon Motorsports. Thanks for joining me in the shop today. I'm Ryan. Welcome. Today we're going to be working on a Motovox MBX10. We're going to be stuffing a 212 Predator in it and all of the parts that we got today from Go Power Sports. Join us, shall you? Well, I think that's about the best intro I've done in a while. Woo! Feeling good. Alright. Racing season's coming up. It's March, what's today? March 1st, 2020. So, we've got the two Bajas. They're just about ready to go. You see in the last video, we did a split sprocket setup on the green mini bike. The blue one's already got it on it. Well, I got this Motovox MBX10 frame that I bought really cheap. It was in really good condition. I think the only thing that was actually wrong with it, aside from the guy who had taken it apart, didn't know how to put it back together, the front fender was a little bunged up. Unfortunately, I don't believe they make those anymore, or at least I haven't been able to find them. I've been able to find some parts for the old girl, but not a lot. Thing comes with a 79cc engine originally. Today, we're going to be stuffing a 212 Predator in it, along with the torque converter, hydraulic disc brake system, and a Stage 1 kit from Go Power Sports, link in the description below. Alright, so first off, we're going to dig into the 212. This is bone stock. Just bought it a week or two ago. Bought two of them. I've got one for a customer cart that's going to be leaving here pretty soon. But we're going to set this one up with a Stage 1 kit. We're going to do the governor delete, and we're going to do the low oil sensor delete. And I want to get into that a little bit detailed. It's a pretty quick process if you've done it before and have your process down. But I'm going to show you how I do it. I do it a little bit different, and it works really well for me. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ditch the stock airbox. We're going to rip this stock exhaust off, and we're going to rip the gas tank off. So let's get to it. Okay, first thing that comes off is the airbox. Don't even worry about taking that out. You're going to take these two nuts off. 10mm. Pop these guys off. And then your two vent lines here and here that run to the back of the airbox. Pop that guy off. There's the two vent lines there. And that goes to the side. Put your nuts back on so that your carburetor doesn't fall off. Okay, now your exhaust comes off. 13 mil. Pull that off. Now if you don't ever start this thing up and you take this stock exhaust off, you can usually save this gasket. The Stage 1 kit from Go Power Sports does come with an extra gasket kit for intake and for exhaust. So move that to the side. Nuts come off, nuts go back on. Okay, we've got one bolt here we already took out for the gas tank. This is the second time I'm filming this. We've got the 10mm here. Let's go ahead and pull the 10 mils off. Then you're going to take your gas line off from the carburetor inlet here. There's a little clip. This little guy is a pain in the butt. Helps take it off before you try and snake your fuel line all the way back through, as it comes underneath this throttle plate in between here and the cylinder. Take that off, set that out of the way. We will be reusing the fuel tank. Okay, now we get to the top of the engine. We're going to take the governor arm off. Take you a screwdriver, spread it out just a little bit here, bam, and it comes right off. Then go ahead and take your spring and your linkage off. There's your governor arm in the trash. Now as your throttle linkage that goes to your butterfly in the carburetor, go ahead and take that spring off. Then go ahead and leave that linkage there. We're going to take this top plate off, 2 8 mils. Okay, top plate off, carburetor linkage out. Set this to the side, we're going to need that. Set this spring off to the side, we're going to need that later. Here's your top plate. Go ahead and loosen this guy up until that returns on its own. Then what we're going to do is we're going to shave this off because we don't need this. Okay, so when I cut these, I like to follow this line here, and then I connect it over to here. And if my Sharpie was working right, from here and then over to here is about how I like to do that. You can't. There you go, you can kind of see that line. Okay, so we're going to take the throttle plate, we're going to set that aside. We are going to take the 2 bolts for it, put them back in the holes. Okay. So we got that up. Now we're going to get ready to pop this governor out. What we need to do is we need to cut this little bit off right here. We're going to do that before we open up the crankcase. So we're going to take this pin, pop the hitch pin out, hitch pin or whatever the hell it's called. Okay. So we're going to take a pair of needle nose vice grippies here, and we're going to use these to hold this up. So make sure that you're contacted here and you've got enough room to close those jaws, bing, just like that. That's going to hold it up while we nip this sucker off. Okay, now that we got that linkage cut, now we can go ahead and open up the crankcase. Okay, get your rubber mallet and tap the back side. You're not tapping here, you're tapping on the aluminum. Now this is important. This is why I do these before I ever put oil in them. 1, so you don't have a bunch of oil running out, but 2, so you don't heat soak that gasket and make it soft. Now as you're taking this off, take you a scraper and you can get in here and you can kind of push that gasket to one side. I like to push it towards the cover, but you look in here and you make sure that it's all separating from the case nicely, And then when you pull that sucker off, boom, there's that gasket, fresh, no tears. We'll be able to reuse that gasket. Okay, here's a look down inside our crankcase. You can see a little bit of oil from when they ran in at the factory. We're going to go ahead and take that guy out. There's 2 8mm down in there that we're going to have to pull out. And then disconnect that wire. Okay, get you a long 8mm socket on there. 1 and 2. Alright, so you can see right there that gear, that plastic gear, and this guy, that's the arm that we cut off up here. We're going to wind this around to get the rod out of the way, and we can pull that arm through. Let's get in here. I can also use a screwdriver to push it down from the top. There's that. Alright, so now we've got the governor arm out. We're going to go ahead and take the low oil sensor bulkhead fitting out. So that's going to be another, oh, thought it was 13. When in doubt, grab 2. 14. Okay, and once again, as we go to take this out, we need to readjust to give us clearance. Take that out, and then where are we at here? Come on. Oh, let's try the other side. There we go. Okay, so you can see we still got some oil down in there. Let's go ahead and get that out. Let's go ahead and throw some floor dry in. I'm just kidding, we're not going to use floor dry. We're going to use this guy. It's my repurposed old bong. We're going to take the shop vac here. And the shop vac's going to go here, and we're going to suck all the oil out through here. Okay, now there's a couple things. One, right here, you got this washer that you need to pull out. Now we're going to take the governor deal out. There's another washer there. You need to make sure it comes out. Now, you can see right down in here, along this shaft, right there in the bottom, there's a pin, or a circlip, that goes all the way around. That sits in a groove, holds this whole assembly down. My favorite way of doing this is with a screwdriver and a hammer. Usually ends up getting a little bit of plastic down in there, but it's alright. Let's go ahead and pull that out. Okay, sorry I had to move you to get that clip undone. So then you take one of these Extendo Magnets. Get these from like $5 at Ace. And they can be an absolute pain sometime. You thread that down in there, pull that clip. Now you can take your pliers with the right clearance. You can come down in here and pull this governor sprocket up. And out of the way. And if you're really good like I was right here, you get that washer off as well. Now here's the next thing. What about the two holes that we've just made in the crankcase by taking those guys out? First hole we're going to deal with is the more complicated of the two. We're going to rotate this guy back around to give us the maximum amount of clearance. You can see in this position right here that I've got the maximum amount of clearance between the crankshaft and the rod. The counterweight's on the crankshaft. So we're going to make a little bit of a mess right down in there. Alright, so step one of plugging up this low oil sensor hole. We got ourselves a 7/16 inch drill bit. And we've got an MPT tap and die set from Harbor Freight. We're going to get our 1/4 inch tap out. And we're going to thread that hole to a 1/4 inch NPT. 7/16 inch drill bit. And we're going to try and capture as much of the metal shavings in here as possible. I'm going to take some bearing grease and just tip your bit in it. Make sure you're in low speed, and we're going to go ahead and slowly drill this out, trying not to get as much metal shavings in there as possible. And you see I'm going kind of slow right there. And there's all the metal shavings caught. You can wipe the tip off and reapply the grease as necessary. Boom. Okay, so we broke through, and this is why we keep it in low gear, so that you're not spinning 100 miles an hour and run that damn drill bit into your crank or into your connecting rod. There, she broke the chips off. I haven't cleaned anything up, and there is almost nothing down in that hole. There's one little chip that I can see down in there, and I don't even know if it's a chip or not. Yep, that's it right there. That was the only thing that come out of that hole into the crankcase. Now you can see inside that hole there, it does need a little bit of cleaning up, but all them chips, aside from that one, are stuck in the grease on the outside. Okay, now we got our tap. We're going to do the exact same thing with the tap. A little dab of grease in there. Just like so. And we need to go all the way up to about here with it, about 2/3 the length of that tap. Now you can see right down in here there are a couple chips. We're going to go ahead and suck those out just like we did with the oil. Okay, now we're just going to take a 1/4-inch plug, square-headed plug from the hardware store, some Teflon tape, and we're going to go ahead and put the side cover back on. Alright, now we've got a couple extra fasteners because we took that low oil sensor out, and I always like to keep some of the stuff that I take out, some of the fasteners that I take out that I don't put back in. These little guys, these are the two. There's another one over there. These are one of the low oil sensor bolts. So we're just going to clean it up. A little bit of carb cleaner. Get the oil off of it. And we're going to mix up some JB weld. We're going to coat the top of this, and we're going to drop it in to where the governor arm went through the block. Alright, so we've got the top plate and the carburetor back on, and this is our original throttle linkage. One side's got a Z-bend, the other side's got a 90-degree. Okay, so on the linkage, the 90-degree side fits down into the carburetor, into the butterfly valve, and then goes back to that little tab right there. I don't know if you can see that guy right there. So what we're going to need to do is we're actually going to need to use the Z-bend side. Push that guy all the way back. and get our pliers and position right about there. Pull this guy out. And bend that sucker down. And we can go ahead and nip off about that much. And go ahead and straighten that guy back out. On these, shorter is better. If it's too long, it will have a tendency to push that butterfly valve open. So we can go ahead and give it a little throttle and get it sit right down in there. Now when you do that, and this is it all the way closed, you make sure your butterfly sits right. Make sure that butterfly sits right up against your idle stop screw here, right here. Alright, so now that we've got the gas tank back on, we've got the linkage, all that stuff, and if you don't have any oil in your engine, it's always a good idea to tag it with a do not start, no oil sign, just so that you remember, and other people who might be around your shop know not to start that engine. Alright, let's go ahead and get the Stage 1 kit from Go Motorsports on. It comes with an air filter adapter. It comes with a nifty air filter. You can choose between blue and red, and then there's socks that go over. You can choose between a couple different colors of those too. And it comes with a header pipe. Now I've already cut the flange off of this guy. It's on the engine because I had to reposition my header pipe. I had to end up cutting a little bit of the angle off of this to get it to redirect and come straight out the back. We'll weld this on when we get the engine mounted into the bike. That way we can make sure to get that header pipe just exactly where we need it to be. So first thing we're going to do, actually we're going to do the jet since this is off at the moment. Okay, so all the jet is on the bottom side of the carburetor. You got your 10 mil, there's the drain, there's the bowl holder. Bowl comes off. Take your screwdriver right up in here, get it in the slot. There we go. Okay, so on a brand new carburetor, it's all going to come falling out. You got the emulsion tube, you got the jet. The flat side of the emulsion tube meets up with the flat side of the jet. The slotted side of the jet goes down. So we're going to take the new jet, stick the emulsion tube in, stick the jet flat side up, up in there, take the screwdriver, easy peasy. Don't over tighten because it's brass. Snug. Bowl. Bowl back on there, nice. Then you can aim the drainer. I like to aim it towards the back. Click. Just snug. Air filter adapter on. This guy goes on, sits over the choke. Lever. Push that down. Nuts. Alright, so we got the engine strapped down to our little work table here. I've got a tachometer set up. It's just taped around the spark plug wire about 4 or 5 times. We've got it set up to read firing every revolution because the flywheel is connected to the crankshaft, not to the camshaft. So it does spark every revolution. I love that sound. Alright, so we saw about 5,800 RPM sustained without hearing the valves float. I'm happy with that. This is going to be a great engine for the Motovox mini bike. That's going to be it for today's episode. Next episode, we're going to get this engine mounted up in that bike. Join us then. Go ahead and follow us over on Instagram for between video updates, and Facebook as well, at Badger Canyon Motorsports on both. Please, if you feel I've earned it, hit that subscribe button and the likes. Give me a comment. Whatever. We'll see you in the next video here at Badger Canyon Motorsports.